Hello, people. Thank you so much for joining me again. Today is day 8. For the support, for the love that you've offered for the past 1 week, and here's another week that we've started. And thank you for tuning again. Let us start with your useless fact of the day. Did you know that salt was so valuable back then in the Roman time that actually soldiers were being paid salt rations as their salary? In fact, the modern day word salary comes from the the Roman word salarium, and that is your useless fact of the day. So we're doing poem number 8 today. It's called Same Always. If you're joining us today, one of the reasons why we're doing this is because we can be able to go through this book. It's called Petals of Emotion, that I've had a privilege of authoring. So today we're doing number 8. If you want a copy, please contact me and you will have it. It's called Same Always. If the sun refused to shine, sucking the solar system in its black hole, the silent river with its soothing murmur harnessed the power of a tsunami, sweeping all the lands in its reach. When people around me have faces on their back, intense, fashioned with poisonous fangs, when life feels like a sack full of many windows, but not enough to escape sting of circumstances, like bees ebbing laughter into a creek, when drums go mute, ignoring the cry for music, when nothing in the world lacks pleasure, it is you, God, that I trust, because you are the same yesterday, today, and forever. And this poem is self-explanatory, but just to give it a small explanation, it shares of how unchanging God is. It first looks at how nature is, how changing nature can be. I mean, one day the solar system, we are told, will every star, when it gets old, it bursts in something that is called a supernova. It becomes really beautiful, and then because of the energy, it starts sucking everything, including light itself, in its hole. So one day that will happen, and it happened to many stars. One day today, the sea is calm, the next time it has a tsunami. And then stanza 2 looks at people. One day you're friends with someone, the next day they're not your friends. In Kenya, you don't have to go very fast. Look at the political maneuvers that keep on happening every election. And sometimes even life itself is not okay. Today you are happy and fine. In fact, even not today. 1 minute you're happy and fine. The next minute you don't know what will happen. 1 minute you have a parent, God forbid, the next minute you don't know. 1 minute you're doing your life, the next thing you know is that we have COVID and everyone has to stop their plans. One time you have a job, the next thing you don't have a job. So seasons of life keep on changing. But the poem tells us that there's one thing that never changes, and that is God. You see, the seasons that change on earth, they change because it's the earth that is moving, but it's not the sun that is moving. And that is the same analogy, that God is always constant. And although our circumstances keep on changing, God is constant. And probably I don't know what you're going through, and I don't assume it, but I want you to know that no matter what you're going through, God still watches over you, and you will be fine. So on to the story of today. And like I said yesterday, we will be exploring some interesting stories that I've been able to gather over time. So the story of today, we are getting it from a Greek folktale of a guy called Oedipus. It's a very interesting story. The end is not really good, but I hope you enjoy. So the story of Oedipus started when King Laius, the king of Thebes, consulted an oracle to learn if he and his wife would ever have children. The prophecy given was that any son that was born out of their union will kill them. After a while, Jocasta got pregnant and eventually gave birth to a baby boy. To avoid the prophecy, Laius told his servant to pierce the baby's ankle so that he will not be able to crawl. That's how the baby got the name Oedipus, meaning swollen foot. Jocasta then gave the baby to one of their shepherds, telling him to leave the baby in the mountains to die. The shepherd, unable to do this, handed the baby over to another shepherd, who then brought it at the court of King Polybus and Queen Merope of Corinth. The royal couple, also childless, decided to adopt the poor baby and raise him as their own. When Oedipus grew up, he was told by someone that Polybus and Merope were not his real parents. Deciding to investigate this matter, Oedipus ended up in Delphi to consult the oracle. There, he was told that he would kill his father and marry his mother. Upon hearing this, Oedipus thought that the prophecy meant Polybus and Merope and decided not to return to Corinth. Instead, he started walking toward the city of Thebes. On his way there, he came across King Laius, his biological father, on a chariot. As he was on his way to the oracle once again, Oedipus and Laius, charioteer, started quarreling over who had the right of way. The quarreling ended up with Oedipus killing the charioteer and his father, thus unknowingly fulfilled the first half of his prophecy. On nearing Thebes, he met the Sphinx, a terrible creature who guards the gates of the city. The Sphinx devours all those who pass by and cannot answer the riddle. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs at night? Oedipus gave the correct answer, a human being, who crawls on all 4 when young, then walks upright as a youth, then in old age uses a cane. The Sphinx, so distraught and angry when Oedipus answered the riddle that the Sphinx killed herself. The Thebans, not knowing it is Oedipus who had killed Laius their king, rewarded him with an offer of marriage to Jocasta the queen. Oedipus, unaware that Jocasta is his mother, marries her, and they had 4 children, thus fulfilling the second part of the prophecy. After many years, a plague strikes the city, and the oracle proclaims that it will last until the murderer of Laius is discovered. Oedipus diligently begins the search. He finds that not only had he killed Laius, but also he had married his mother, Jocasta. Jocasta, realizing this, she killed herself, and Oedipus, in distress, put his eyes out and dies later in Athens in destitute. Tell me what you think about this story. Destiny and fate. Are we destined to do some things even when they're bad, or just life happens? Let me hear what you have to say about this. And now to the verse of the day. Comes from Hebrews 13:8. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. What a wonderful thought to know. Have a lovely night and see you tomorrow.